Jordan so much of. He pushed the thought away and stood, moving toward them.
"Please don't leave," Zendaya said, and her voice carried across the now silent cafe. Every conversation had stopped. Every eye was watching. "I saw those people be mean to you. I saw all of them, and that wasn't nice. That wasn't right." Zendaya reached out and took the woman's hand. "My daddy and I have a table with extra chairs. We would really, really like it if you sat with us." Her voice softened, became almost tender. "I'm getting chocolate chip pancakes, and I think you should get some too, because they're the best in the whole world. And you look like you need the best right now." The woman stared at Zendaya, her green eyes swimming with tears. Then she looked up at Jordan, who had just reached them. There was a question in her gaze. "Is this real? Is your daughter serious? Or is this another cruelty disguised as kindness?" Jordan's voice came out rougher than he intended, thick with emotion he didn't understand. "She's right. Everyone deserves a seat at the table." He held the woman's gaze, trying to communicate something he couldn't name. "Please, we'd be honored if you joined us." Something in the woman's face shattered. Fresh tears spilled over, but she was smiling now. A broken, beautiful smile. "Thank you." The words were barely a whisper. "You have no idea what this means. What you both—" Her voice broke. "Thank you." Zendaya, completely unbothered by the tears, took the woman's hand again and started walking beside the wheelchair like it was the most natural thing in the world. "I'm Zendaya. That's my daddy, Jordan. What's your name?" "I'm Bailey. Bailey Hale." "That's a pretty name," Zendaya said, completely at ease, as if inviting strangers to lunch was the most natural thing in the world. "You have pretty hair, too. It's so long and blonde, like a princess." Bailey laughed, a real laugh this time. "Thank you, Zendaya. That might be the nicest thing anyone said to me in a very long time." Jordan followed them back to the table, acutely aware of the eyes tracking their movement across the cafe. Some people were looking away now, shamefaced. Good, Jordan thought. He pulled away a chair to make room for Bailey's wheelchair at their table, and she positioned herself carefully, her movements practiced but still tentative, like she was waiting for someone to change their mind and ask her to leave. "There," Zendaya announced, climbing back into her own seat with satisfaction. "Now we're all together." Bailey wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, trying to compose herself. "I'm sorry, I'm not usually... I didn't mean to fall apart like that." "You don't have to apologize. Not to us, not for that." "Those people were mean," Zendaya said, her young voice carrying the weight of absolute moral certainty. "Grandma Cecilia says kindness doesn't cost anything, but meanness costs everything. She says mean people shrink their own hearts." Bailey stared at this fierce little girl, and something in her chest that had been locked tight for 2 years began to crack open. "Your grandma sounds very wise," Bailey managed. "She is. She lives with us now because—" She paused, processing something. Then she said it simply, like it was just a fact of life. "Because my mommy died 3 years ago. She's in heaven now. Daddy says she watches us from the stars." The words landed like stones in still water. Bailey's hand flew to her mouth. She looked at Jordan, really looked at him, and suddenly everything made sense. The shadows carved beneath his eyes. The way he held himself like someone carrying weight no one else could see. The practiced smile that didn't quite connect to the grief living just beneath his skin. She knew that look. She wore it herself. "I'm so sorry," Bailey breathed, and the words felt desperately inadequate. Jordan shook his head slightly. "It's been 3 years. We're—" The lie stuck in his throat. He couldn't say they were okay, not to someone who clearly understood what broken looked like. "We're managing." "Are you okay?"
Zendaya asked Bailey suddenly, with that unnerving directness that only children possess. Because you were crying really hard, and those people were really, really mean to you. Bailey looked at this 7-year-old who just saved her from complete humiliation, who'd run across a crowded diner to stop a stranger from leaving, who was asking if she was okay after just revealing her own mother was dead. "I wasn't having a very good day," Bailey admitted, her voice soft. "But you just made it so much better, Zendaya. You and your dad. You made it so much better." "Good," Zendaya nodded, satisfied with this answer. "Now let's order pancakes, and you can tell us about you. Do you like art?" "I love art. I'm really good at drawing horses. Well, Daddy says they look more like big dogs, but I think they're horses." The absurdity of it, the pure, uncomplicated kindness of this child made Bailey laugh. A real laugh, the first one she'd had in weeks. "I do like art. I used to—" She stopped herself. "I like art very much." Jordan noticed the hesitation, the way Bailey had started to say something and pulled back. He recognized it because he did it himself constantly. "I used to be happy. I used to know who I was. I used to have a wife." All the things that lived in the past tense now. The waitress came and took their orders. Zendaya got her chocolate chip pancakes. Jordan ordered coffee and a sandwich he probably wouldn't finish. Bailey hesitated over the menu before Zendaya leaned across the table conspiratorially. "Get the pancakes, Bailey. Trust me." Bailey smiled. "Chocolate chip pancakes it is." When the waitress left, an easy silence settled over the table. Not uncomfortable, just 3 people catching their breath. Bailey studied Zendaya, this remarkable little girl who just upended her entire day. "Can I ask," Bailey started carefully, "how old are you, Zendaya?" 7 3/4, almost 8. Zendaya held up her fingers as if to demonstrate. "How old are you?" "Z," Jordan said gently, but Bailey laughed. "It's okay. I'm 32, though some days I feel about 100. My daddy's 36, and Grandma Cecilia is 68, but she says age is just a number and what matters is your spirit." "Grandma Cecilia sounds like someone I'd like to meet," Bailey said. "She'd like you too. She says I'm a good judge of character, and I think you're nice." Zendaya tilted her head, studying Bailey with those unnervingly perceptive eyes. Jordan watched this exchange, something warm and unfamiliar stirring in his chest. Zendaya hadn't taken to someone this quickly since Megan. "Why were those people so mean to you?" Zendaya asked suddenly. "Was it because of your wheelchair?" "Z," Jordan started, but Bailey shook her head gently. "It's okay. I don't mind." She took a breath. "Yes, sweetheart. I think that's exactly why. Some people see the wheelchair and they don't know what to do with it, so they make excuses. They decide I'm too difficult, or too uncomfortable, or just too different." "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard," Zendaya declared. "You're just sitting. Everyone sits. You just have a cooler chair than most people." Bailey's laugh was startled and genuine. "I have never, in 2 years, thought about it that way." "Well, you should," Zendaya said firmly. "My daddy always says we should look at people's hearts, not their outsides. He says Mommy taught him that." At the mention of Megan, Jordan felt the familiar ache, but different this time, softer. Like maybe remembering her didn't always have to hurt quite so much. Bailey was watching him with understanding in her eyes. "I don't know," she admitted. "Most days I feel like I'm just existing, going through motions, trying to convince myself I'm not as alone as I feel." The honesty of it struck Jordan in the chest. "I understand that," he said quietly. "More than you might think." Their eyes met, and something passed between them. Recognition. 2 people who'd been hollowed out by loss, finding unexpected kinship in a random Saturday lunch. "Do you have family here? In Nashville?" Bailey shook her head. "No. My parents passed away when I was in college. Car accident. I have a sister in Seattle, but we're not—" She paused. "We're not close. Haven't been for years. I'm sorry."
It's okay. You learn to adapt, to be alone. Bailey's voice was matter-of-fact, but Jordan heard the loneliness underneath. What about you? Is it just you and Zendaya and Grandma Cecilia? That's it. My mom moved in about 6 months after Megan died. Said I needed help whether I wanted to admit it or not. Jordan smiled slightly. She was right. I don't know what we would have done without her. You're lucky to have her. I know. Though she's constantly on my case about living again instead of just surviving. Like there's a switch I can flip to make everything okay. My therapist says the same thing, Bailey said softly. Like it's just a choice. Just decide to be happy. Just move forward. And it's not that simple. No, Bailey agreed. It really isn't. They fell silent again. But it wasn't awkward. It was the silence of two people who understood that some things couldn't be fixed with words. Did you used to do something? Like a job? Bailey smiled at her. I was an artist. A painter. Really? Zendaya's eyes went wide. That's so cool. What did you paint? All kinds of things. Abstract pieces mostly. Colors and shapes and feelings. Bailey's voice softened. I had my first exhibition scheduled when, she gestured vaguely at her wheelchair, when everything changed. What happened? Zendaya asked with innocent directness.
Jordan started to intervene. Z, that's personal. But Bailey shook her head. It's okay. She took a breath. There was a car accident 2 years ago. A drunk driver. He crossed the center line and... She paused, and Jordan saw her hands tighten around her fork. I survived, but not without consequences. The words were carefully chosen, clinical, like she'd practiced this story in a mirror until it stopped hurting quite so much to tell it. I'm really sorry that happened to you, Zendaya said with devastating sincerity. That wasn't fair. No, it wasn't, Bailey agreed, quietly. Do you still paint? Jordan asked. Bailey's expression shifted, something painful flickering across her face before she locked it down. No, I haven't touched a brush in 2 years. Why not? Because the person who painted those canvases doesn't exist anymore. Bailey's voice was flat, final. That version of me died in the accident too, and I don't know how to be the person who's left. The rawness of it silenced the table. Jordan wanted to say something, wanted to tell her he understood, that he'd felt the exact same way after Megan died, that some days he still didn't recognize the man in the mirror. But before he could find the words, Zendaya spoke. I think you're wrong, she said simply. I think you're still you. You're just hurt. But hurt people can get better. That's what Daddy tells me when I have bad dreams about Mommy. He says we're hurt, but we're not broken. There's a difference. Bailey stared at this 7-year-old child, tears sliding down her cheeks. That's a very wise thing to say, Zendaya. I have a wise family, Zendaya said matter-of-factly. Then she brightened. Hey, you should come back next Saturday. We always come here. It's our tradition. Right, Daddy? Bailey looked at Jordan, uncertainty and hope warring in her expression. She's right, Jordan said, and he was surprised by how much he meant it. Every Saturday. Same time. If you'd like to join us, we'd really like that. I wouldn't want to intrude on your father-daughter time. You're not intruding, Jordan said firmly. You're welcome here, Bailey. I mean that. Bailey was quiet for a long moment, studying them both. This kind man and his remarkable daughter, who'd stopped her from leaving when everyone else had turned her away. Okay, she finally said, a real smile breaking across her face. Yes, I'd love that. Zendaya clapped her hands together. Perfect! It's a deal! They finished their meal with easier conversation. Bailey told them about her apartment in East Nashville, about the stray cat that had adopted her balcony, about her physical therapy sessions that were slow but progressing. Jordan talked about his work as a structural engineer, about the bridge project he was designing downtown. Zendaya showed Bailey the smooth stones she'd collected in her pockets. For good luck, she explained seriously. They didn't talk about the deeper wounds.
They didn't mention Derek or Megan's last moments or the ways grief had rearranged their lives. Because some stories take time to tell. Some wounds need trust before they can be exposed to air. But something had begun here. Something fragile and important. When the check came, Jordan insisted on paying. "Consider it a welcome to our Saturday tradition," he said when Bailey tried to protest. "The next week is on me.